So welcome back to episode number 43. How is everyone doing?
Let's get straight into it. Sure, continue your conversation. It's all right. We're all good. Yeah, we're all good.
We need to introduce. We need to introduce.
I don't want that to be on.
No, I don't introduce us for the first time listeners. So you're here with Olu, Daniel, Pabilo, and Shuel. How's everyone doing? How was your week? Fantastic.
Good, man. Always good week. When do we ever have a bad week?
That's true. If anyone follows Daniel, they would have seen Daniel put in a master chef.
Oh my god!
In the kitchen.
That's some of the best French toast I've seen in my life.
I woke up and I saw it in my bed and my mouth was watering. I was like, damn, I'm going to have to go and get cereal instead. When I'm having cereal. It's not the same. Okay, so on this week's episode, we are following up on last week's episode on imposter syndrome, but we're going to sort of switch it up and go into success. How comfortable are we sharing our success stories with friends, family members? So Shuel, you were talking early on about you had a heated conversation.
No, I think you mixed me up with someone else.
Okay.
So the reason why this is leading on from imposter syndrome was because imposter syndrome, you don't necessarily feel as though you should be where you are. You're not owning your greatness. You feel as though you could be perceived as a fraud, and you're not where you are because of your hard work and the effort you've put into it. So stemming from that, I thought it'll be apposite for us to talk about our own successes. Don't have to go into detail specifics, but do we tend to feel as though we share our successes with people? Have they changed over the years? Has it changed with who we share it with? And if so, why? Do you decide to choose to share everything with certain people or a select audience, especially in this day of social media? It's so easy to people to see the end product, but they don't see the process and steps you took towards getting there. So I thought it would just be, it'll be interesting to hear us discuss, because I believe we've all shared, or everyone in life has shared some degree and some level of success, which we're proud of. There are things we want to improve, but just generally speaking, I'm interested to know, what kind of what your approach to doing so is.
Well, cool. I'm very interested actually to hear everyone's opinion. So let's get it started, guys.
Cool. So stay tuned and let's get started.
This is gonna be a hot one, I think.
Take off, take flight with you. For we never fly, but we're flying.
Okay, so my first question to everyone or whatever is, when you achieve something, do you find that those around you, i.e. friends or family, or could be either, whatever, don't celebrate you? Or do you think they celebrate you when you've accomplished but won't support you along the way? And also, the reason why this also points out to me, and I will be posted on our Instagram, is there's a picture of, I think it's like a celebration and the supporters. So the supporters is like one person in the stands, and in the celebration, there's the stands of four, everyone's clapping. It'll make sense when it's posted. But P, sorry to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, I don't think you truly know. Because sometimes I feel that friends are sometimes under pressure to show that they've recognized your success. Maybe deep down inside, if they haven't maybe achieved what they want to achieve, they don't really mean it. So I think that the challenge is always trying to understand whether it's genuine or not. But I think there's also a bit of both, as to what you said. There are some that perhaps sort of check in and really recognize it once you've achieved that particular goal you was talking about. And there are some that are sort of more supportive along the way. So mixed bag.
I'll say it's unfortunately, it's rare to find true supporters. It's as much as we want to say that, it's rare to find true supporters, because supporting means that prior to you reaching your goal, your achievement, right, they're willing to give you time, resources, be cheering you on, saying, okay, I see you going in that right direction. And unfortunately, so many people are just too busy. and people are trying to get their own success stories. So I think it's very rare that you find people that are extremely supporting on all your journey. But what can you do about it? I think you gotta have an element of independence, right? But yeah, I'm not sure about you. Sure, what do you think?
See, so I think it's always difficult, right, to control other people's reactions to things. I know internally, I'm always, and actually, I would say that about the four of us, especially, that we're all people that like to celebrate other people's successes. Like when I see someone, no matter what level of success it is, whether it's even at work, outside of work, in any space, I like to champion that because I always see it as, wow, cool. If they're able to do it, that's a fantastic opportunity. What can I learn from it? And is there any way that I can also help them as well? And this is like varying levels of success. So that's what I can control. Now, do I think everyone around me does the same to me? I would say majority of people, I would say, do. But then there are some moments where you get a comment or something and you just think, like, is that really with the right intention, or is there something else going on? I think it's good to assess, if you are being criticized, the person that it's coming from, is that someone in a good space at the moment, or are they going through their own thing? Because I think that's normally also an indicator whether their comments actually meaningful or whether they're just in a bad situation. But that's just my view anyway.
Daniel,
what's your take?
Well, I'm asking you because I'm interested, but no.
The
the funny thing is, the three of you, and Olu and Pete, you mentioned explicitly about support. So you said sometimes the support's not received, but then the question is, what is your idea or expectation of the support that you expect? Because naturally, you know the way you would give someone support, whether it be through messages, links, or following up or holding them accountable to you. But so that's what you would do. But if you were to say someone's supporting you, what would your expectations be? Because that's also, they might not feel that that's what you're expecting.
I think for me, this wildcard's support is the accountability element. So when I'm doing certain things, I know all my friends in terms of, I know who I'm going to go to if I want accountability. Yeah. And I think you've got to realize that in life, you can't expect everything from everyone. Yeah. So even though I know if I was to have a particular event, or when I send out this podcast, I said, hey guys, I've got this podcast, will you listen to it? I know which close friends will, no matter what, listen on a week by week basis, will repost, will tweet it, whatever. I know there's certain friends who maybe I'm not going to get that level of support from, but I don't need it from them because I've got other people. But for me, Daniel, my level of support would be mainly accountability. And then secondly, if you see me struggling or working in the same field, how do you share some of the gems? Yeah. Which is, for me, one thing I'm always open and free to give is information. And I think information is one of the most important things you can give people. Like any experiences that you have, how can you share that with other people? And unfortunately, some people are not that great at it. Some people are great at it. But for me, that's the sort of level of support that I'm looking for: accountability and sharing information.
Yeah, I think, Ollie, I think you're speaking to a very critical point, which is around self-awareness and knowing what you have around you, because everybody has a wide circle of friends. And I've only recently really understood that fact that, first of all, I think for a very long time, I was under the impression that, okay, every single one of my friends is going to do the exact same thing as me in terms of where the direction that we're all going in is kind of all similar. It maybe feels that way coming out of university and maybe just after. And then I think it gets to a point where you realize there's only a certain number of people, and it's very limited, that are either aligned in what you're trying to do and are connected and will really support. Whereas the rest, and I think also it's the self-awareness to understand the rest are still your friends, but not necessarily as in tuned into what you're trying to do and trying to achieve. And I think that switch for me, I was actually, when I started to sort of go deeper into it, I was actually a little bit like, wow, I'm actually not going to get that support from that person or that person like I thought I would, because they're just natural friends. It's only going to come from maybe one or two people. So I think self-awareness is also critical because then it helps to manage your own expectations. Because as you start to sort of go on your journey, when you don't feel like you're getting the support from maybe people you thought you would, you start to get disappointed. When actually there's nothing wrong with that per se. It's that you thought you was going to get support from everyone. You know, so there's a little bit of that.
Can I ask you one quick question also? Do you guys feel like there's been moments where, you kind of touched upon it, where you were expecting more support and then you didn't get it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's because you've built up something inside where you want people to celebrate with you, but then it leads to disappointment. So it's best not to have expectations.
Yeah,
I think it's expectation. And I think Shuwa mentioned it. Like sometimes someone might say something that you're like, is that love or hate? You know what I mean? Like there's because you know the saying where they say they want to see you good, but never better than them. Like, yeah. So it's like certain times you say something and someone might say a slight comment like, oh, you've always got money. And it's like, nah, I don't. There's so many things you don't see. And I think when I think about success, right, I think it's okay to share your success if you're willing to share the failures and how you got there. Because I think the problem is, and the process, because the problem is so many people just see success and feel like your overnight success,
but not even that.
Failures and the hard work that comes with it.
But I also feel some people share success because they want to be almost somewhat boastful, arrogant. So because of that, they want that self-love. They want everyone to love them and like, oh, look what he did, look what they did. But if you really don't care about what you're gonna, if you're really sharing it to show the journey of when you started, the struggles, the failures, overcoming obstacles towards the end story, you don't care how many, for example, say Instagram, how many likes you get or how many comments. You're doing it because it's a journey. But some people want those hundreds and thousands of likes on something because they're like, yeah, look what I did. Look what I did.
So Daniel, that's actually a good point. Yeah, what you just mentioned is
because this all
go on.
This all relates back to like in the day and age now, it's social media. So a lot of things are shared on social media. It's not a day and age where back in the day we could do something, but only your close circles will know about something. Like I'm even bringing this up because, as you know, I do volunteering trips and I do them every year. And it's always interesting to see. Not that you expect people to donate, but I'm always like surprised at people that actually take time out and donate to it. Because even one friend, she said like last month, I'm on the train, but I'll look at it later. And then she donated a couple of days ago, and actually messaged. I said, "Thank you very much." And I said, "You know, this might seem simple. This might seem very simple and like basic, but I said, thank you very much for honoring your word because you didn't have to." And that to me meant a lot. And a lot of people, most people that support and donate aren't people that I'm close with. They're people that might just see it on Instagram on a story and they actually donate. And I'm very shocked.
But you know what's interesting with that? I know you're also looking for people that haven't donated as well.
Well, and
that actually reminds me, I need to donate.
Every But the thing is, I'm not gonna like I can't expect people to donate. I would like people to, but I can't expect, because me having expectations isn't good for me because it's gonna lead to disappointment.
But
Daniel, one question because Daniel mentioned a good point, is why do you guys share your success?
That's
what I want to why do you guys share your success?
Before we answer that, I just want to quickly, just because Daniel was talking about the volunteering one. I think with things like that one, because now that you mentioned it, I remember the message that you sent about the volunteering. But I think things like volunteering or where you're requesting something sometimes, because I did that a couple of years ago when I was running a race.
One of your myriad marathons.
Yeah, but when I was raising money for the hospital that looked after my dad, where sometimes people genuinely, because they have so many things going on, they just forget. And then I remember there was a moment where I started feeling a particular way because I thought, oh, well, why hasn't this person done it? Because they said they would. But then when I spoke to them and I just kept sending reminders in different directions, it just completely slipped their mind. And then I had to kind of reflect a little bit. Why was I reacting like that when it's very natural to forget about those things? So I think, exactly what Daniel was saying. It goes back to the expectation part of it, but it's a challenge, and it's actually reminded me that I need to donate as well. So it's coming, Daniel. It's on this way.
Sorry,
it's to go. So Ollie, sorry, your question again.
Yeah, no, it's just I want to understand, like, why do you guys share your success?
No, but P wants to answer, but I'm pointing, like, I know P wants to
He's like-
speak, but I want to kind of do a caveat to the question for P. So P, you've typically been a person who hasn't been always an open book. You've been very selective with who you share things with and what you share with people. But it's apparent and evident over the last, say, 7-8 months with Instagram, particularly, you've been
all out now.
You say it's been all out. So
coming all out.
What was in your head the switch of the flick of the switch that changed your mindset in saying, okay, I'm not going to be so closed, but I'm going to start sharing a journey that I'm on with my, personal private life, etc. What you're doing in business, what you're doing on the side, and why was that, and why you in the last 2 months sharing a lot more of what you've learned in terms of the success, but also the back stepping back into why you started the journey, the failures, and even now with the daily Instagram stories about, you've made 10 calls and 0 answers, but you keep moving. It's a numbers game.
Just to remind everyone as well, before Pabilo answers, when we tried to start this podcast, there was one guy who was against it because he didn't want to share stories or anything like that, and this was Pabilo Timbo. So go ahead, Dan.
It's not even the thing. It's actually very simple. So I think if I could sum it up in a very succinct way, is today I think abundance, and before I thought scarcity.
Before you thought
scarcity.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is this: is when you talk, because it links to the point around Olu in terms of sharing success, right? I find, like, for a very long time I didn't share what I was doing, even with my inner circle. I'd sort of maybe tell 1 or 2 people, and I'd sort of keep it very hush hush and build it and do whatever I'm trying to do. If I have wins, I'll keep it to myself, share it with Lauren. But that's a mindset of someone who thinks that there's not enough to gain. That's a mindset of someone who thinks it's a zero-sum game, and there is not enough to go around. But when you start to, I think, work on your mindset, and you start to work on, and start to also realize that everybody has a story to share that can also help people. I think the difference is also when you get feedback. When you start sharing more, you get feedback, and you realize, oh, actually, I didn't think what I just said was going to help someone, but actually it does. And then you start to also, work on the mindset and start to think, you know what, actually, there is enough for every single person here. And my success doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get what you want to achieve. In actual fact, sharing more means that I can actually give more possibilities to other people to sort of realize potential in themselves. So it's a journey. But again, you guys know, like 2012, 2011, around those times, I wasn't on. You couldn't type my name in online, you wouldn't see anything. So I think it's more. Like the thing is, I was telling somebody the other day when I started with Shuel, he would post like pictures of the apartment, and I would go crazy at him because I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you sharing?" Like I used to panic. Like, why? How are you doing it? Why are you sharing? But yeah, I think it's taken a few years to get there. But it's also, and I think also, to be honest with you, it also boils down to this unwavering belief that I know I'm going to be success by my own measure. And so with that belief, it will be a tragedy not to share the sort of hurdles that I face from now and sort of the wins, because also I get better by communicating that story, and I know it helps a lot of other people. Even it helps people to the point where they don't even necessarily communicate back to me, thank you, but I know it does reach a certain number of people. So it's more. I would say it's going from scarcity, not having, feeling like there's not enough, to now knowing that there's more than enough. And so it's important to share and trade and sort of have that currency going.
I think just quickly to build on Pabilo's point, I think another positive from it is when you're trying to work in a particular field or build something in a particular field, and you're trying to find those like-minded people, you can't expect people to just guess what you're doing or what you're up to or what you're working on or where you need help or maybe you need investment or you need leads or you need whatever you're doing. So then why not leverage this tool that we have where we can literally just share what we're doing? And the people who ask me the most questions are the people who don't like my stuff. They don't comment, but they've seen what I'm posting and they've seen me answer someone else's question. And those are the ones that are messaging me saying, oh, this was very helpful, or can you explain a bit more about this? So if you also want to further what you want to do and also meet other like-minded people, the fastest way to do that is to communicate that outwardly as much as you can. Because otherwise, trying to do everything on your own, it just kind of slows it down, I think. What's your
The other thing I just wanted to plug in actually, and this is probably the underlying reason. It's also building up confidence and self-esteem. You only start to really share things about your own personal life, in my personal opinion, or your failures when you're confident in maybe your aspirations, your vision, and what you've done. So it's almost like you have to fill yourself up first before you can start to share. But I wouldn't have perhaps done that in the past because I maybe contrary to what people may believe, I wouldn't have had enough confidence in myself to be able to do that and do it well. So I think self-esteem is a big thing in life in general.
What was your guys' take, Daniel and Olu? It's a good question.
In terms, I'm very selective, so I'm not one to necessarily post things on Instagram that will be so personal and private because number one, I don't feel like everyone needs to know. Those that need to know, I'll tell them. It's just that I don't feel like, you have people that are there, but most people let me forget the analogy. I just feel that not everyone there wants to celebrate with you, so I would share it with people verbally or when I speak to them, but necessarily on a platform on social media, I wouldn't necessarily do it. And one, because my wife isn't for it. And when in hindsight, when I think about it, I ask myself, why am I sharing it? Am I sharing it because I want to be boastful and proud? Am I sharing it because I want to educate and teach others? And if it's not for the latter, then there's no benefit in me sharing it for just something I've attained or something I've accomplished, but with nothing behind the journey. So, for example, I share my volunteering trip because from it, a lot of people want to know more on how they can embark and do something similar. A few weeks ago, I was talking to a guy for like 20 minutes and we're talking about it and he said he wants to do it. So we just got talking. But I'm very, very selective of what I share on social media, only because I can't always control who's going to look at it, because I don't always feel that people's intentions are pure towards you. And also, I don't want to come across as being boastful, because you also have to understand sometimes about being sensitive to how people, although you can't control what people are going through, sometimes you need to be sensitive to the audience. For example, I use Olu as an example, I hope you don't mind. When you're talking about the work situation, imagine sharing something about promotion, like 10 different friends at the same time in the timeline talking about that. Someone it's not that they're not happy for you, but because of the circumstances they're in or situation, it can, sometimes be, insensitive. And although you don't know, and I think so I'm going off topic a bit.
No, I
think this is where a lot of people start to compare with where they're at in life compared to their peer or someone they're following, especially if you're around the same age, same group. So if you think, okay, this person's doing this with their life, they're doing that, they're achieving that, what am I doing? And they not become envious or resentful or hate you. They start to then measure their life against yours. And I think sometimes that can then also become a mental thing. It can lead to depression if the person's not strong. Well, not they're not strong, but it can lead to depression or downward thoughts because they're doing something they shouldn't, which is measuring their life against someone else.
Daniel, it's perfect that you say that, because I can hold myself accountable, right? And say, probably when I was a consultant traveling quite often, the way I posted my success wasn't by sharing the true journey, right? I would just be posting whenever I was traveling from one location to another. And I started to get the feeling from people like, oh, all you do is travel. All you do is have fun. And then, like you mentioned, automatically there's going to be a comparison to it, right? People are only going to see your success and say, that's all you do, versus asking the question of, okay, what do you do? Give me this true story behind it, right? But I believe when you have a platform or anything, you have to be responsible on the image that you put, right? So that's one thing I've loved about how Pebilo's been doing his current post, right? Where he's not only sharing the success, which is great, right? He's sharing the journey and how he's getting there. Because I personally stand with it. It's okay to share the success as long as you're given a true and realistic representation of it. So the days where I was traveling, I remember Daniel will attest to this, but when we went to visit you in Basel, right? I hadn't slept for 2 days, right? With a work assignment. People don't see that side, but they see me posting with you guys and say, "Oh wow,
In the mountains.
Paris." And as soon as we finished doing all of that, I was back on my laptop working, and I hadn't slept for 2 days straight. But I never posted that side, so all people are seeing is the success element, and that doesn't help people mentally where they start to compare. So I would say the key thing, right, is if you are going to share your success, is how do you give a true representation of how you got to that success, and how do you tell people like you can achieve this? Because there's an element of it, like showing your success shows people like someone from your background, similar background, can achieve something. So you should always try and show that success, but you should always show the true representation of the journey and share your failures. Because one of the great things I did a long time ago was when I started traveling, I did a weekend conference with the church where I was like, the university students, I was like, okay, I'm going to share my struggles, everything that I've been through university and getting my first job. And I had people come to me afterwards and said, Olu, thank you so much for being open and transparent with your journey, how you've got here, because now you've given me the confidence to know that I can achieve and do and travel and do stuff that I didn't really see before. So again, I'll just repeat, like, it's okay to share your journey, your success, as long as you're transparent in your journey and your failures. So.
Just to also have a discussion about it, because I fully agree as well in terms of nowadays social media can be suddenly turning into a bit of a highlight reel of everyone's life. So seeing the process of what you're going through, how long you're working or what you're doing, etc. I think is important.
Sexy, it's not.
No, it's true. It's true. But then,
like oh, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. It's just
but one thing I would say though is nowadays with social media, you're never going to have everyone happy. There's always going to be someone that will complain or find a hole or will find any reason to complain or say something negative about what you're doing. So for
but they still follow you.
But they still follow you. But
exactly,
but to be fully honest though, most people actually don't care if you really think about it, because other people, if it's holding someone back to post something or share their story where they have the right intention, but they're not doing it because they're worried about someone else's situation or what someone else is thinking. If you know that your intention is to help people or bring value or do something positive, then I would say that you should do it. And then not only that, are you going to do it? But most people actually don't care. Think of the amount of times that we're scrolling through Instagram, we see a post, we're like, oh, that's cool, double tap up, and then you don't even think or talk about it again. So if that's limiting someone to not take those actions, I mean, people are always going to be pissed off, and people are going to forget what you posted tomorrow anyway. So why let that hold you back? No. That's my view.
It's a tough one, right? Because we see, I think our generation is a lot different to the younger generation, right? So we're in that nice generation where we were outside and we also got the internet. There's a generation that the world only revolves around the internet. So them seeing you guys in Miami, they're like, I wish I was in Miami. Sure, I wish I was in Miami.
but then to counter that, they saw like the months before where we're waking up at like 5 a.m. and I'm putting shifts in all the time.
Yeah. But I thought you were just going back to sleep. I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were working. I didn't know you were working hard.
I was working with, but no. I mean, I could take a picture of me in front of my laptop if that helps. But...
Cool. Any other?
But P, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just thinking like, what would I tell my younger self about being more open to successes and losses? I think a big part of it is the confidence and self-esteem, and that takes time. And I think what I take from this is and what I would communicate to others is, work on your confidence, work on your self-esteem, and also raise your level of self-awareness. You can have 100 friends, but it's not everybody's purpose not all of the 100 friends are supposed to support you in the same way. Not every friend is created equally from that standpoint. But I think the other thing I was thinking about was that I do strongly believe that a lot of people, if they identify within themselves, have a responsibility because they've been given so much health, so much resource, so much intelligence and talent, that you should share more of what you're doing. because the thing about it is that the people that are watching need that information. They need that content. You're planting seeds on things that they may take action on 2-3 years from now. And if you think about like a society where nobody's sharing success, then nobody's moving. The floating tide rises all boats. So it's like you need to. It's almost like you should stick your head out the window, even if you're going to get a couple slaps.
But Pabilo, is there a negative way? Because I think the problem that we're facing, like I think all of us in our group and on this podcast, is we don't really share our success in a toxic way. But there's some people where it's like just bought a new property or like the money phone, like, hey, yo.
Yeah, but they will evolve.
Way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it's just an evolution.
But do you think that will evolve?
Do you think so?
I don't know. Do you think they're going to consistently do it? Because eventually,
I think everybody has growth and everybody has to evolve.
I don't believe everyone has growth.
I don't.
I say that because when I go to the barber shop, I see grown 40-year-old man trying to talk like 18-year-old.
But then also to a certain,
remove yourself from.
But then also to a certain extent, if some people just want to do things in a particular way, maybe that's just them. I mean, what can you do? You can't really
way to do it.
Say again?
Do you feel like there's a wrong way to share your success?
I think
the way you guys have been talking, right, has been a lot of sharing your success, but with a journey, a lesson, and teaching, right? But there's some people that just want to stunt. Yeah. And
100%, yeah.
but then I would say in that context though, if they want to do that, I mean, what can you do?
But the thing about it, the thing is, you say that my thing is, you don't know actually who's watching, and if you're a person that stunts, you could actually be speaking to somebody that they've been watching your page for the last 6 months, and all they've seen from you is stunting after stunting after stunting. You know what they said? They said, listen, in their heads they thought, you know what, you're now pressing on my ego. You're now getting into me to the point where, you know what, no. I've got that in me as well. I'm gonna go and do stuff. But it took 6 months. It took 6 months for them to sort of realize I had enough of just watching you stunt. I can go and do stuff, right? So I think.
I need to check your schedule, and we're gonna see you on road.
No. Okay, but then
I'm gonna set you up. Nobody looks nice, Pete.
Do you wanna? Have you seen the recent video by Chris Eubank?
No.
You said,
his house has got burgled, and he done a video throughout the house. Yeah, that's what you talk about sharing, right? He done a video of
what will come like this.
What was not taken, and he actually mocked the robbers by saying, "How are you going to come into my house and not take this bust down rollie, which is like 100 something? How are you going to miss that?"
Yeah,
it was actually quite funny.
Someone said stupid that you're asking to
he
get
was
again.
teasing. Yeah, he's teasing. He was.
You know the backstory about that. He actually challenged people. He's like, I challenged someone to break into my yard prior to that happening.
Yeah, because of his security system.
Because he got a new security set, and he's like, I challenged someone to break into my yard. So the person did break into his yard. But they didn't take everything, but
the thing is, also with this, like, just to finish off, with all this sharing on social media, people aren't being smart. So they go on holiday. They obviously know where you live. They know no one's at your house. You ain't got security. I'm going into your house.
I'll pay your visit.
Simple. Like everyone that will go on holiday, and like they know you haven't got to get that. I'm talking about people that know where you like you're
close.
Not even that. A lot of people know where you live. Say put it that way, and they know you're on holiday. They know you're gone for 2 weeks. They know you haven't got any alarm system. You haven't got anything. Your house is going to get a visit.
onto the break into your yard and just find a mattress on the floor. Find out that you've been faking that stuff.
I saw something on Instagram, and it was like some guys posting up in an apartment. But what they actually did was they went to IKEA, went to the showroom, stood in like the kitchen, and then sat on and got a picture.
I actually think, to that point, I think we should wrap up soon. I think the currency in the coming years is transparency. The more transparent you can be with the world, I think that'll get you to your destination. Sure. Because it separates you from those.
It'll probably even get you faster.
100%. People don't want to guess anymore. People want to know, really the mistakes you've made. How much you earned? How much did you make this time? What did you buy? How much did it cost you? So how you get through that challenge? Because they need it.
Exactly. But like I said, P, you're doing it the right way. Sure, you're doing it the right way because you're sharing the whole journey, right? You're sharing the failures and the success. I've stopped pretty much posting too much, like on my page. Stories I'll do where I'm sharing the journey. But I think when I do start posting more and sharing some of my success, I'll be sure to share the journey and the failures as well.
Yeah, like Ollie, just like for example, with what you did with the business that you just set up recently, like the way that you really put the work in, that was amazing content for me to see. And when I saw that, it inspired me to think, wow, Ollie's really putting the work in to get it set up. And I know you got it to a certain stage. When I saw that, that pushed me to do it. So this is why that's me seeing it. So imagine what other people would have seen if it was on your feed or whatever.
But that's also only after some evolution, you know. Only would just show you hotel rooms and
sorry, P, go ahead.
Go on.
No, and just how it also relates, for example, the post that Daniel did with the French toast, that food was banging. And after I saw that, I got up and I cooked myself something that did not look anywhere near as what Daniel did, but that inspired me to get up and cook something nice. So this is what I'm saying. I think someone's always going to look at it and be like, why is Daniel being so extra full with gloves? Or looking at Ollie being like, why is Ollie painting the wall? But forget, those people are always going to be there. Those people are always going to be there. But your intention is you're doing it because you want people to learn and do it the right way. So that's the only thing you can control. That's why when other people get so worked up over other people's emotions, I mean, you can't control it.
No.
Okay, I was going to say, Ollie, you should tell people about your loss that you made in the business. You know, the 120,000 loss that you took.
120 what?
You took the 120,000 loss that you took.
That face came to the camera.
120,000.
Yeah, you're not going to tell them. Like, you should share that story.
Was it one person?
I was looking. I thought you were talking about cryptocurrency. No, but I'm open and transparent with that, and I've got some videos coming out.
Maybe to remind everyone that we've shared our failures. Maybe we need to do another podcast on failures, so everyone's really remembering what everyone's
I got a long list, boy. It's coming up.
Man, me too. No,
good.
Actually, I think Daniel, you had one last question in the show notes, right? Because you were saying, do you celebrate other people's successes? Do you guys think you celebrate other people's successes?
Me, for sure. Like my motto is, I win, you win, we win. Like
I saw that today on Instagram, by the way.
I watched the documentary, the Kevin Hart one, where he was like buying his friends' cars and everything like that. You don't want to make it you don't want to get to the top and it's lonely and it's only you there. Like I have dreams of all of us getting on a private jet and be like every person can hold their own weight. Like even with like everyone getting married, all of us success is not about just me. I want the people that I've grown up with to be in that circle. So the way I do that,
ready for that. I'm ready for that plane. I'm ready.
So the way I do it is by when one of my friends have got a business, purchasing goods from them. So whatever product they sell, purchasing it. Whenever they've got events, attending those events, and also providing feedback, which I think is one area that people don't always like because they're like, oh, you're being negative. But no, if someone gives you feedback, it's because they care. So by taking on that feedback, they really want to see you improve. So those are the 3 ways I do it. So P. Guess P don't celebrate. Daniel.
No. I do. Yeah, I'm similar to you.
I have to do more. I think I have to do. If I think about, I think there's different forms of celebration.
Yeah. What?
I was waiting to see what you guys think. I'm waiting to you guys think. No. I think to be honest with you, I personally have to say there's always a tendency to want more than I'll give out from a celebration standpoint. I think I can always do more outside of you guys, right? Outside of the circle, outside of my accountability circle. And there's even someone now that has started posting videos, and I'm looking at it thinking, she showed me a certain level of love. I need to reciprocate that, right? So why am I hesitating? So there needs to be a lot more. Just take the thinking out of it. Just do it. That's what I think it needs to be about. Just do it. It's a currency.
I was saying I'm similar to Ollie. I think I'm doing stuff, but I also need to do more. And I think it comes back to supporting those around you who provide goods or services. So even now, I'm planning like Melissa's birthday surprise. She don't know, but it's this coming out after her birthday. But like for all the things like coming down to the cake, the favors, and all like the decorations and things that I want to do, I'm using people I know and services I know because I want to plug in back into them and support them for the things they do. I always think there's always people around you that you know that can do something. And it's like maybe, and they might not deliver up to your standards, but at least you can give feedback. And, next time you can use someone else, but at least you've given them a try.
Yeah.
And it's always nice support, like a homegrown or business or someone that you know or something that you've seen, just because they're trying to build up they're trying to build momentum, trying to build their brand, trying to grow it. So why not support them? Why not choose like a local business rather than always going to a high street, store or provider of the good or service when you can just select something local. But with share, I always like to, if I see something say on Instagram or social media where it's always kind of stood out to me, I always comment or say something like congratulations, whether I know them in close proximity or I know them from a distance. I would always say congratulations because I like to share their success. It always makes me smile. For example, when I see friends or people buying their first property, I always celebrate them because I know how I felt when I was in that situation. I know the feeling of, when I left work, when I went to get the keys, when Melissa and I came to get the keys, we came into the house together for the first time. I remember everything from like the whole build-up process to completion. I always like to celebrate with people. That's one thing I love to do.
Dope.
I don't really have much more to add. I think I personally try my best to celebrate everyone's success around me as if it's my own. So I think I do that. If anyone feels like I don't, please tell me, because otherwise I'm missing something. But no, I think I try to. And I honestly, I would love to be in a position one day where I'm surrounded by people and close friends, old friends, new friends, and everyone is doing better than me, because that means if I'm at the bottom of that group, then I'm also much higher than where I initially started out. So let's keep celebrating it more.
Dope.
So thank you for listening to episode 43. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any feedback for us, please contact us on Instagram at Take Flight Podcast, or you can email us at takeflightpodcast@gmail.com. Take care, stay blessed.
Woo! Yes.
Take off, take flight with you. We never fly, but